So 32, you're pregnant with your daughter. So what was that moment like? What shifted when you knew, okay, there's another human that I'm going to be caring for and responsible for? Like, what was there a shift there where you started thinking differently, or are we still,
Oh,
what was that?
absolutely. That was the like life-changing moment for me
Okay.
when I decided to have her.
Okay.
It was, well, I can't continue having this kind of lifestyle, like
Okay.
working at, in the business like this. So I need to go find something else to do.
Hmm.
And quite honestly, I was, trying to go apply for jobs. And my employee at the salon was like, well, V, you can't work for anybody, She said it jokingly, but after going on several interviews and just seeing how miserable the people interviewing me were, I didn't want to be like them,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I didn't want to have another nail salon. I didn't want to have, I just kind of was done with that business
Okay.
mentally, just
Yeah.
because of the culture, the way that business was run, how I was taught to run it. I didn't like that.
Okay.
So, long story short, I found real estate.
How'd you find it? Take me through that journey. Like, what did you just come across it? Is this something you thought about? What happened
Actually,
there?
I was just out one night with a friend, and this friend said, "Hey V, do you remember this other friend that we worked at together with at the restaurant back in the day?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "This dude is rich, man. He's making a lot of money, and he's doing real estate with the We Buy Ugly houses." And I'm like, "Okay, well, connect me. Let me talk." So I talked, and about a few months later, I bought the HomeVestor franchise.
So wait a minute. I didn't know this story. I didn't know this part because you and I have a connection with HomeVestors. But so you knew, so a guy you used to work with in this restaurant
Yeah.
bought a HomeVestor.
Yep.
You hadn't stayed in contact with him, obviously, and you connect up with him. And what's he doing at this time? What's his exit model? Is he flipping houses, or is he wholesaling, or what's he doing?
Well, he actually was in North Carolina. He moved.
Okay.
Very vague, but it was a trusted friend when we
Okay.
knew each other at the restaurant, right?
Yep.
So I trusted him, and he said he and a partner were in real estate for a long time. They
Yeah.
were wholesaling, coaching in their area, but
Okay.
they saw the home investors model and they bought a franchise.
Okay.
And so they said, you need to look into it. Or he said, I need to look into it. So I did my research and, I went out, talked to a bunch of people, and decided,
Yeah.
okay, well, I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
give it a try. 3 months from now, if it doesn't work, I go back to find something else.
It's so interesting. And I know all the ballers listeners, they're like, dang, finally, they're talking about real estate. I mean, it's been
It only took us about an hour.
53, about an hour. So, congratulations to all the listeners that stayed on. And we're actually going to be talking about a little bit about real estate, but that's not the purpose of this show. But you were talking about earlier, man, I wish I could have not wasted so much time and kind of had a little bit more clarity and got where I wanted to go maybe a little faster. But like crazy, right? As we look back and rewind all this, how some guy, who would have thought, like how many years ago since you worked with this guy in this bar? How many years was it from?
In the restaurant,
Yeah, in the
in my
restaurant.
college years. So what's 2000, early 2000?
So 12 years ago, like
98, yeah. So
so 12 years later. Is
something
that
like
right?
that, yeah.
So almost 12 years later, whatever it is, you know, that moment happened. That connection happened for this moment. 12
Hmm.
years, fast forward 12 years. That's what I find so fascinating about life is you can meet just the most random person in which you feel like is going to have no impact on your long-term life whatsoever. And then 10 years, 15, 20 years, who knows? Later in life, it's like, oh my gosh, that's why I met you. You were supposed to introduce me to this, or you were supposed to do that. Is that talking a little too crazy, or is that, I mean, that kind of crazy?
Well, you are a little crazy and way out there for the average people, but no, but I'm with you. I believe that, right? Maybe it's the Buddhist raising the way of
Yeah.
things, or maybe it's just really the way of things. I don't know. But I do believe that. I do believe in faith. I believe
Yeah.
everyone you meet has a purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a purpose for you, or maybe you have a purpose for them, right? Maybe you meet somebody in a one time exchange and you deliver something that they really need to hear. You never hear about it because you never maybe see them again. But in that
Hmm.
moment, man, that guy said something to me that just lit a fire or sparked something. You know what I mean? How many times have I heard something on a podcast from somebody that I'll never meet or ever talk to, but it ignited something in me that forced me to take action to do something, which is what we're doing here on this podcast today, V. We're lighting that, someone's going to walk away from this. So anyway, fast forward. I just think that's very interesting. So you get into real estate. We're finally going to talk a little bit about real estate. Did you feel pretty confident going into it? This is going to work, or maybe it doesn't. What was that like? Or did you really care? Was it just something new? What was that experience like?
I had no expectation. I wish I could say something so grand, so big. Oh my God, But I'll tell you what, I had no expectation. The only expectation I had was this. At that point, I felt like I needed to make something happen. That I'm gonna make it happen. I felt like I didn't have a choice. I know I did, but in my mind, that this gotta work. So I just went in and just went along, right?
Yeah.
And just follow the people. You know how, we get a mentor and we just follow our mentor and watch what the other successful people were doing and just follow their path. And that's what I did. And in 3 months, I left the salon to go do this full time because my phone kept ringing. And when I was working at the salon, I had to work on the weekend, So in the beginning, I would work at the salon and answer the phone. You know how you a one-man show, so you got to do everything.
Yeah.
So answer the phone, and just on the weekend, I had so many calls, selling, buying, whatever. And I said, okay, this is it then. This is where I need to make a decision. So I'm going to go in full time, and I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, I know what I met, and that's when I met you. Relatively, we met around that same time. You and I both got owned a HomeVestors franchise at one point in time, and we bought at very similar time frames. And I can remember there's certain people you meet, they're like, yeah, this person's going to be successful. And I just remember, as speaking to you and talking to you and hearing some about your background, because when you're at this big conference, you're trying to figure out who's who.
Yeah.
Right. And there's the super successful that are pretty obvious they've been doing this for 10 or 15 years. Obviously, they're successful. But then there's all of us kind of newish people, maybe brand new like you and I were, but maybe people, and who's actually going to make it here, who's not. And I could tell this B's going to make it, and it was really cool to kind of catch up with you every 6 months and see how each other's journey was going.
I've been asked a lot about passive investments. And let's be real. There is nothing passive about being a landlord unless you have a really good property management company. So if you own an Airbnb or a short-term rental and you want to get back your time, please give our team at Buzz Vacation Rental a call at 281-549-8432 or go to our website at pm.buzzvacationrentals.com.